Welcome to X1T Gaming, and together we're going to revolutionize the gaming industry. So, we are working on prototype number 5, and that's pretty much what I need for learning to finishing my game, which is pretty sweet. Well, I also need to learn how to. Oops, sorry, I'm just trying to type some stuff. So what I'm trying to need to do afterwards is I need to learn how to do ads and stuff like that so that I could actually make a little bit of money off my games so that I could reinvest it into the next games and stuff like that. Just trying to download all the stuff that I need that I'm learning. I forgot what they're calling it. What our prototype number 5 is what we'll call it. Create project. Okay, and then I'll show you my computer when it starts loading. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to do this. Oh, create project and switch to 2D view. Oh, that's pretty interesting. They want us to go into 2D mode. 2D. Yeah. So sorry, my computer is slow. I should have probably opened it before I went live. But yeah, so we're going to be currently working on learning how to do pop-up windows where you're going to have like start stuff and do a high score, which will be interesting. And so, what my whole premise of what I'm going to try to do for my game that I'm doing, this potato counter. Okay, I'm just calling it a potato counter, but I don't know if it will actually be a potato counter. So, forgive me if you are going to get potatoes, because I have no idea what I'm going to do. But anyways, we once we learn how to do all this start stuff, what I'm thinking is that what am I going to do? So I'm going to have like the high score. I'm going to try to make it so that I have the high score that's accounted for, and that it's going to be in the background. And what that high score is going to do is going to count how many potatoes are on the field and keep it that way. And so I'm going to be like, oh, you destroy all these potatoes. That's going to be your high score, and I'm going to leave the distraction objects, the red things, out of it, the rocks. I'm going to leave them out of it. And then what I'm hoping to get is have a pop-up window, and now you have to say what that high score is. But I'm going to be putting that high score in the side view so that you can't see it without in the game camera. So it will be there for me to see in my studio, but it won't be there for the actual for the actual gameplay. And so what my thoughts on that, I'm going to, once I get all that done, then I could switch in all the potatoes and rocks, or maybe I'll switch to something else. Call it, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. So we'll get all that done, and then basically what I want to do is when you go and continue the levels, I'm just going to let you continue and continue to till you lose, and then once you lose, I'm going to have an ad pop up. That's the game plan. So you're being kind of I'm rewarding you for continuing on and then collecting payment for you guys sucking at games, which I would probably suck as well. You guys already seen some of the gameplay of me just trying to play my own games, and it's not the prettiest sight. Yeah, so now I'm just looking here. I'll go see where it is. We got this thing all set up. Now we just have to find the scene that it's in, and it's in here, prototype 5. And then we could delete this scene. Okay, so I don't see the game objects. There's a border. There's sensors. Okay, there we go. It's on this side right here. Okay, so let's go look at what the rules are. Okay, so step one, clicky mouse. So we open it, we got starter, all that kind of stuff. And then we want to open the prototype files, delete the simple scene, then click on the 2D icon in the scene view to put the scene in 2D. In the scene view, where's the 2D icon? Right there. So we put it into 2D. Nice. Oh, that's pretty interesting. So if I click it again, it turns into 3D. Oh, sweet. And the camera stays the same because the camera is already just in 2D, but I could decide where it goes. Okay. Okay, then optional, change the texture and color of the background and the color of the borders. No. You get black and white. Sorry, guys. Okay, so mark step is complete. Not going in. Do I have to log back in? Excuse me. Okay, log back in. Mark as complete. And it's complete. Create good and bad targets. Okay, from library, drag 3 good objects and 1 bad object onto the scene. Rename them good 1, good 2, good 3, and bad 1. Add rigid body and box collider components that make sure that colliders surround objects properly. Create a new script folder, a new target script inside it attached to the target objects. Drag all 4 targets into the prefabs folder to create original prefabs, then delete them from the scene. Okay, so we want to go and we said props. Here we go. So we got bad. Where are the good stuff? So go from the library, course library. Okay. Drag 3 good objects and 1 bad object. They have bad. Let's see others. Okay, so I'm assuming that these balls and food are all good and bad. Because particles, materials, fonts. Yeah, I don't see anything else. So we got props. So we'll do the bad one first. Do we want a skull? How does the skull look like? Okay, or do we want the bomb? Let's do the bomb. So we click and drag the bomb, and we're going to rename this one bad 1. Okay, and then let's see what the other props are. So we got balls. Okay, or we got food. There's pizza. Okay. We got others. So we got barrels, crates. Okay, so I am going to stick with balls. I think balls will probably be the easiest. But what kind of balls do we want? We want 3, not 2. Okay, cricket ball, nuclear ball. Okay, let's do a nuclear ball. Well, what do we do there? We'll go back to the scene. Okay, nuclear ball. Got our nuclear ball. Let's do beach ball. And then let's do an American ball. Oh, do we want? No. I thought it was like a baseball. do soccer ball. Oh, that's interesting how they're like that. Okay, so we'll call this one good one. Beach ball we'll call good two. And then this one we'll call good three. And then we need the prefabs folder. So we'll create a new prefabs folder. We're going to drag them all into their original prefab. Original prefab. And last one. And then we're going to delete all these. Boom. Okay, so we've done that. And we need to add, we need to add rigid body. Supposed to delete them afterwards. Oh well. Oh well. So we got rigid body. And then we're going to add collider. Because I did balls, I want a sphere collider for, oh, this is bad. It was a bomb. I want a sphere collider. It says to do box collider components, but I want to do sphere collider. Just because they're already circle. Well, if it's the box, it's going to be a little bit awkward. And then we have to redo them. There's no material. Yeah, okay. Done. Yeah, the reason why you want to delete them afterwards is simply because then they're still here and you can see the actual collider, if it's on or not. But if I go like this and I look at the collider, boom, perfect. Not worried. Delete. Delete. Did I delete the collider on that? No. Okay. Toss objects randomly in the air. So, I gotta do the target script and add all the target scripts. So we need to get new scripts folder. Create C#. We're calling this one targets or target. Just one, no plural. And then they said they want it to be put on all of them. Oops. Okay. Boom. 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 And boom. Okay, yeah. Create a new script folder. A new target script. Inside it, attach it to target objects. What are target objects? I'm gonna have to quickly watch this video.
For that. And then we need colliders because we're actually going to add triggers to each of these boxes as well. So I'm going to select the first box and then I'll select the last item on the list. And I'm just going to add components. So I'll add a box collider. So hopefully it works on all of them properly. And then I'll add a rigid body. So now we have box colliders and rigid bodies applied to all of them.
Okay, I
Just
didn't
make
know
sure they work properly. So you can see the box looks pretty close. Cube also looks good.
Okay.
So now you can see they all have the target script applied. Now in our assets folder,
So yeah, they all needed the target script. Okay, toss objects randomly in the air. Okay, in the target script, declare a private rigid body target. Start torque. Okay, nice. So we just got to do some coding now. So I think the whole point is we want the stuff to bounce up like this, and then we want to try to click on the objects, and I think the bomb is going to be the object you don't want to click on. That's going to be the bad object. So with this, we got a private rigid body. We don't want 2D, it's just a regular one. Oops. Target RB. Boom. Okay. Do we need anything in the void start? Everything's in the void start. Okay. Target RB. Oh, it's just a regular size B. My bad. My bad. And this is going to equal to get component rigid body. Get component rigid body, and it was this. Okay, so we're getting the rigid body component that it has, and it's going to add a force. It's going to dot add force vector 3 dot, was it dot up? Yeah, dot up. Then we're going to times this by a random range. Random range, and he wants it to be between 12 and 16. Okay, and then we just go force mode. Oops. Force mode dot impulse. Okay, and then the next line of code, he wants the torque. Okay. Target ob B, add force, and it was, no, sorry, add torque. Add torque. And it's going to have random range. Random dot range, and he's saying minus 10, and then positive 10. And then we want to copy and paste. Okay. And this one. Oops. And then we do it again. And then we do the force mode impulse. Force mode dot impulse. Okay, so from this, we're going to have a force where it's going to go up on a random thing over here. And we have the force mode, and then we have the random range of where it's going to torque. So we're going to have some torque. It's going to move in different directions. And we want to close this one up. And then we want to add transform position. Transform, oops, no capital T. Transform dot position. And we want to make a new vector 3 random range. Random dot range. And this one he wants it to be minus 4. So I have a feeling that he's going to want to clean up this code. So we're probably going to put like x-axis, like a torque x for this, and then torque y, and then torque z, and then just do maybe the random range 10 to minus 10 and the private thing right here. That's what I'm assuming he's going to want us to do afterwards. So let's just save this and see if this works. It's not working. It's not working. Why is it not working? I put the target on here.
So we have each of our different prefabs created, and
Oh,
we've applied.
that's weird. Target script. Let's see if I do play one. Nope, still not going. Why is it not going? Let's put my target script on all of them anyways. Okay. Okay, let's see.
Our components to them. In case we just need the direction, actually use another force mode. And then, so we'll try and keep it between, let's say, like negative into our hierarchy, and we'll randomly create the scene. And then for our Z value, we can set it to 0.
Oh, so he goes back into the
Now, if we want
hierarchy.
to test
Check it out.
and see how this looks, we can actually drag our prefabs into our hierarchy, and we'll
okay.
randomly create those effects.
So we got to
So
create
there's
a
the random
spawn manager,
position,
that's
it's
why.
got the random force applied. Now, one little bit of clarity that we can actually add. So since we're not actually using the Z value here, we can actually remove this.
Yeah, okay, mark is complete. So I'm like, there's something wrong with it. And it's not. I just have to click and drag because we didn't do the spawn manager. Replace messy code with new methods. That's what I thought he was going to do. Okay, prototype 5. Okay, so what are the methods he wants? You got private float, and he's going to go min speed. This one's going to equal 12. And then he wants a private float to have max speed. This one's going to equal to 16. I bet you guys know where that's going to be going. Private float, and then he wants to call this one max torque. And this one's going to equal 10. And then he's got private float again. And we want to call this one X range. It's going to equal to 4. And then our last one, private float, is going to be Y spawn position. This one's going to equal to -6. Okay, so we'll do the minimum speed first, which goes here. Then we want the max speed, which goes here. And then we want max torque, which is going to go here, and here, and here. I guess this is like a pretty good habit to try to do all this every time. I should probably go back to my other code and see if I can do this a little bit more. Okay, so we'll save that. And now we'll see again if anything's changed. Something's changed. What did I do wrong? This. Still wrong. What did I do wrong? Close, 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 close. Oh, he has it even more tight. This is where I screwed up. Oh, okay. So he tightens it up even more. I should have probably looked before I did all that stuff. Okay, so how he tightens it up even more. So we got a vector 3, and he calls this random force. And we're going to return vector 3 dot up times. Do I really want to? Frick, I gotta. Just copy and paste this. Okay. Right. Okay, so he wants us to do it like that. Okay, and we got to create another one. This one's going to be called float random torque. Random torque. And so he's going to probably want to call this one like this. Return like that. Close it up. Right? Yeah. Clean this up a little bit more. Okay, and then the last one. Another vector 3. Call this one random spawn. Oops, position. And then this one will be this. Wait, do we need the Y spawn too? We need the Y spawn too. It's going to be this. Okay. Return this. We grab this. And we put it right there. Boom. Okay, now we save. And now it should work. No bad code. Okay, I screwed something up somewhere. What did I do wrong? Doesn't look like I did anything wrong. Twelve, 6, 10, 4, 6. Oh, this one. Don't need a negative there. Okay, so it's probably because of the speed that I put that they're not showing up. There we go. It's because they were creating some random speeds that were way too low. So they weren't able to go up high enough. Sweet. Sweet, we did that one. So that's just cleaning up the code, which I should probably do more often. Okay, create object list in game manager. Wait, create a new game manager, empty object, attach game manager script, then open it. Declare a new public list game object targets. Wait, what?
We have all of our prefabs set up so they're randomly spawned at different positions. They have different forces applied to them so that they fly up the screen. Now we're going to use a list to keep track of all of these objects to spawn them. But instead of using a spawn manager, we're actually going to create a game manager, since we're also going to use the game manager to control the states of our game later. In your project hierarchy, if you click the create button and create an empty for creating an empty game object, we'll rename this game object as game manager. And then we need a game manager script to be able to actually use it. So in our scripts folder, if we right click, create a C# script and call it game manager, we'll now apply our game manager script to our game manager object, and you can see that it's applied. A cool thing you might notice is that on the script, instead of having the little C# icon on it, it actually has a gear icon. So in Unity, it actually tries to help you in a lot of ways, and in this case, because Game Manager is a script that people use very often, Unity actually creates a special icon just for it, so then that way you know that this is actually something that we'll use to control the different settings for our game. If we open up the Game Manager script, now we're going to do something similar in our Game Manager script to get the list of all of the objects we're going to use. So we're going to use public so we can apply the references. But instead of using an array, we can use a very similar data structure called a list. And then with a list, we actually need to give it the type of something. So we'll create a game object, and we'll call this targets. Now, a list is extremely similar to an array. So if we were to create our own array, we could call it game objects. and then targets 2. And you can see I misspelled game objects. So the notation is very similar, but with a list itself, we can actually pass it in the type of thing that we want, versus with an array, we have to tell the array what that thing is before we make the array itself. Lists and arrays have slightly different functionality in terms of the ways that they work. Overall, lists and arrays have slightly different functionality. So there are times where a list is more useful than an array. But for the purpose of this project, we'll just use a list for now so that we can kind of get used to it and see how it works and how similar it is. Now when we save, when we go into Unity, you can see our game manager script. It has the name of the targets. We can create a size, very similar to how we made a size for our array. So we'll set this to 4.
And if you're on a newer version of Unity, your size field might be over here on the right, and you might have little plus buttons to add items to the list manually. But otherwise, it's exactly the same.
Now we have 4 elements that we can give it. So we'll give it the bad object, the good object, the second one, and the third one. So what you're going to do is
Interesting. So I didn't know about lists before, and so this is something new. I'm interested to look how it works. Create a coroutine to spawn the objects. Okay, so are we doing this in the? I'm assuming we're doing this in the game manager.
We've created a game manager object that has our game manager script that now can control all of the different prefabs that we have. Now what we'll need to do is we want to instantiate them over time, so we'll use a coroutine again, and we'll learn about a new loop that we can use to do that. In our game manager script, we're actually going to create a new method first. Now we're going to create another IEnumerator method called spawnTarget. That way we can actually use the waitForSeconds method to control the length of time between each spawn. We need to use the yield keyword again. And we need to return a new waitForSeconds. And it needs a float of seconds. For now, we'll just use spawn rate because we'll create the variable later. Now we need to actually get a random object from our list to use. So we'll use our index so we can select that object in the list. Using its position, we'll get a random number between the first object and the last object. So similar to how in arrays we got the length, we can use targets, but in this case, we actually get the count. And so this will actually give us the count of how many objects are in that list. In this case, it's 4, so it'll be a random number between 0 and 4. And then we need to actually instantiate that object. So using our targets, we select the one at the index that we're going to use, so that way we either get our bad object or one of our 3 good objects. Now, the loop that we're going to use to control this is called a while loop. And a while loop is a fusion between a for loop and an if statement. So an if statement requires a condition to tell it when to stop. A for loop will iterate over something a certain number of times to execute your code. So a while loop will execute your code continuously, but instead of giving it a defined number of times to run, we can actually use a condition to tell it when it should actually stop running. We don't actually have a condition we're going to use just yet, so we'll just set this to be true. So while this is true, which will always be, we can do our line of code here to spawn our objects. Our spawn rate is still mad at us because it hasn't been initialized yet, so we'll create a private float spawn rate, and we'll set that to 1 for now, so it'll spawn every 1 second. Now in our start method, we'll use a coroutine to actually start that spawn timer. So if we start coroutine, spawn target, Now, after we've saved, if we go to play our game, you should see through the magic of our programming that we have all of these different obstacles, and even though they're running into each other, that's totally fine. You can see it's randomly creating different obstacles over time. What you're going to do in your game manager class, make sure you create a spawn rate to keep track of the number of seconds that you want something to spawn. You're going to create another IEnumerator method for our spawn target. We're going to use a while loop, and for now our condition will just be that it's always true. In our while loop, we will yield return the wait for seconds using the spawn rate that we actually wanted to spawn at, so 1 every second. You're going to get the index of an object to choose from our list, and then you're actually going to instantiate that object using the index to grab it from our targets list. And then in our start method, just create a coroutine using start coroutine, and then call our spawn target method. Now it's your turn.
It's pretty cool how they collide with each other. Now we're probably gonna have to do a delete method because they don't delete. Destroy targets with a click and sensor. So we'll go into targets, and then we want to add a new one. Okay, this is going to be a private void. It's on mouse down. Oh, we did all that pretty good. Destroy game object. Destroy game object. Boom. And then we gotta do another one. Private void again. On trigger. Trigger enter collider. Nice. Destroy. Destroy game object. Okay, so we'll save that. That's what they have. So now they should fly up. Oh wow, that's so much easier than what I did before. Just triggers it. Nice, but destroys. Sweet. Missed one. Okay, mark step as complete, and that's it for today. So we did all that. That's not too bad. The list thing is new. The game manager is new. That's interesting. I don't understand how. I guess the gear icon just kind of makes it easier to see the game manager. I wonder if you could change the icons. Yeah, I don't know. That would be pretty cool if you could change the icons later. So once you start doing like big games, you could be like, oh, this is like fighting icon. So this has something to do with fighting, or this has something to do with running around and walking. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool to learn. Programming level 4, not bad, not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. So with this lesson, we should be done by the end of the week. And once we're done by the end of the week, we should be able to get our game done. We'll finish it up. That on mouse trigger is pretty good. We're probably going to have to use that a lot for thinking about the screen where it says start, and you got to press the button and press start. It's like a trigger event. Yeah, I wanna learn how to make an intro video. Just kind of have the logo pop up at the beginning. That'd be pretty nice. Oh, I just had an idea. So we have like the intro for our game. The intro comes in, shows X1T Gaming, and then we have just a start button. So we'll click, and as soon as we click the start, the balls are going to be flying. They're going to have to start counting, and then once you do that, and then once they lose, it's probably going to have an ad because people are going to be like, "Oh, did I get it? Did I not get it?" I'm not going to let them know that they lost. Eventually, they'll figure out that they lost, and then maybe I'll have this like, "Oh, restart the game," or consider like a support method for future games for X1T. That'll be interesting. So, but then eventually people are going to know that the ad, yeah, I'm thinking maybe a 15-second ad. Maybe that's too long. Maybe 5 second. I don't know. Just something there that you see. But I don't want it to be so long where people could actually close the game, turn it back on to start a new game, and then it will be done that way. But then again, I don't want it to be so short where you're not making any money. So we'll have to find something like that. But then I already think that I'm doing pretty good for not making like an ad every level. Like, some of those games, my boy plays some of those games where it's literally like you do one level and then you do go to the next one. And then if you want to continue playing, you have to watch an ad. And it's like a 15-second ad for like a 2-second amount of playtime. It's like absolutely ridiculous. I am not for that at all. I know that those companies have to make money, but it gets to the point where now it's like, oh, we just need to make money, and they probably made millions off my boy alone. You go and you'll just watch the ad. But yeah, no, he's really excited to actually play this game on the phone. If I could get it on the phone, so that'll be exciting. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Again, I'm doing live stream every day, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, you guys can learn with me and then see the update of how the game goes. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks, I could get the game done. Hopefully. But I need to get it before I move. That would be great. Which I move at the end of April-ish. Yes. But yeah, okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good one.